The Allied powers should strive to reach limited war by war status phase of turn 2. With limited war, the Allied powers deck increases by 20 cards and 8 war status points. The composition of the limited war deck directs the strategic and operational goals for the Allied powers until they reach total war, war status 11. Of the 20 limited war cards, 9 are reinforcement events. Assuming that 3 reinforcement events remain from the mobilization deck, nearly one half of the playable deck will consist of reinforcement events. It is in the Allied powers' interest to extend the limited war period to facilitate play of as many reinforcement events as possible. Once total war is reached, the addition of the 21 total war cards to the remaining deck will reduce the probability of the appearance of a given card substantially. A lack of deck management discipline will not only delay the deployment of needed reinforcements, but will also have a strategic cost when it is time to play the American entry sequence, Zimmerman Telegram, Over There, and the American reinforcement cards. Both the British and the Russians have multiple reinforcement events. Most likely one would have to prioritize their play. Both the MEF and the Yudenich reinforcement events should have top priority due to their ability to cause your opponent to expend resources in the Near East with little benefit. I will discuss their play in greater detail shortly. The French reinforcement card should never be passed up. It's only a 3-ops card and the French are not in a position to delay its reappearance for another 3 to 6 turns. The Italian Fifth Army can only be played if Italy has entered the war, which brings in the next set of decisions that the Allied player must make. There are 2 5-ops cards in the Allied Powers Limited War deck, and they are the neutral entry of Italy and Romania respectively. Not bringing these countries into the war is not an option. Once the Central Powers reach total war, these cards can only be played for their events, and once the Allied Powers reach total war, there is a 1 victory point penalty for every turn that Italy is left unplayed. Therefore, the participation of both of these countries is a foregone conclusion. It's the timing that is important. First, Italy. Yes, Italy was initially neutral. However, the Italian ruling class envied the villas on the Dalmatian coast, and knowing that they had the lower classes to fight a dozen battles of the Isonzo, they decided to join the Triple Entente. Unfortunately, Italy did not have sufficient national wealth to democratize automobile ownership, and so the drowning working class grasped the pointed end of a sword after the war in a doomed effort to save themselves. All 4 Italian armies started half strength, making them easy pickings even for the horse-dependent Austrian armies. Consequently, the best time to play Italy is when the Central Powers are preoccupied somewhere else, most likely the Eastern Front, Serbia, or the Near East. Even if that is not the case, the SR of a single British army to Venice could buy Italy enough time to bring their armies to full strength and act as a drain on the Central Powers. While Italy must be played while the Allied powers are at limited war, the play of Romania can be delayed. As a minor participant, Romania does not have armies, only corps, and can be overrun by the Central Powers with little trouble. In fact, they don't even need to enter Romania to conquer it. Romania not only does not have a supply source, but also lacks a port. I know, what were they thinking? Unloaded guns, and they can't even dig in. Because their supplies have to come from Russia, this makes Kamenets-Podilsky the Verdun of the Eastern Front. Not only the survival of Romania, but that of Russia depends on holding this key location. The rush to total war is driven mostly by the necessity of not being caught more than a turn behind the Central Powers. Therefore, the Lusitania and the Great Retreat should be played as events when they appear, as they are both mediocre 3-ops cards and provide a total of 3 war status points. Playing Cloak and Dagger. Get that 2-ops card out of your deck. I wouldn't worry about the High Seas Fleet Sortain. The Central Powers won't exile 4-ops card this early in the game, unless you are already losing very badly. I would use land ships for replacements or operations on its first appearance. After that, I would enact the event as the Royal Tank Corps is a very nifty combat card. There are 3 additional 2-ops combat cards. Only the phosgene gas is a true fire and forget event, as both Hurricane Barrage and Air Superiority get recycled to the end of the game. The limited war phase is when the Allied powers can start to gain the upper hand in the conflict by opening up multiple fronts to eventually force the Central Powers to a breaking point, and that is where the MEF comes into play. Even with its 3 ops activation cost, it can coordinate with the Russian Army of the Caucasus for a pincer action across Anatolia. I know what you're thinking, but with a little bit of luck, there may be success between this dusty land and the mountains to the north. At the minimum, it will force the Turks to deploy more than a picket line in an otherwise desolate region. In any case, the MEF needs to be played before the Salonika event. Salonika is useful not only as another frontal opportunity, but also the supply source allows for the Serbian army to be rebuilt. Next episode, I'll describe a few countermeasures that the Central Powers can deploy, in addition to their limited war strategy.